It's the morning star drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the morning star drive, you know.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Thursday, January 27th, and this is the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. We're on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So what is happening on this wonderful Thursday? We've got coronavirus updates, current news from around the world, question and answer Thursday, and Danny's Money with Daniel Baker in Korea. So, how are you guys doing today? And yes, we were supposed to have Danny's Money yesterday, but there was a problem with the file, so we are going to actually play it today. So today we'll put on the segment of Danny's Money, so hope you guys will really, really enjoy that today. Sorry for you. There were a bunch of mistakes yesterday. There were. So if you were on SoundCloud, you heard, you know when I was playing Eternal Flame by the Bangles? You heard Eternal Flame by the Bangles on SoundCloud. But on YouTube, for some reason, it was blocked. So if I had that song on that podcast, it would be blocked to all countries. So what I had to do was take that piece out, and I put in another song instead. Well, I put the same song in, Eternal Flame, but by Atomic Kitten. So some of you on YouTube who watch it might be like, wait, this is not the Bangles? Yeah, it was Atomic Kitten because I had no choice. It was already past the time when I saw that the video was blocked. So because of that, I was like, oh no, I only have like, well, it was already past like the time it's supposed to actually come out, and it wasn't going out because it was copyright block on it. So I just quickly went in. I couldn't record, re-record the voice that it's Atomic Kitten. So very, very big apologies to everyone yesterday on the podcast. That was not the Bangles, on YouTube only. It wasn't the Bangles, that was Atomic Kitten. All right, it's the same song, but it was Atomic Kitten. And actually, I've never heard that version before either. Yeah, so it's Thursday. I hope you guys are doing well. And it's the end of the weekend. Hope you really enjoyed the service last night. Make sure that you keep complimenting and praying for your head leaders who are preaching these amazing messages, all right? So let's get this day started together here on the Morning Star Drive. Really happy you've joined us. And wanted to remind everyone to continue to build this community. Make a community where people feel safe. Make a community where people are able to speak their mind. Ask questions about the messages. We're getting a lot of great questions, and especially today's question and answer Thursday. Get your feedback, put it in the comments. If you see someone else's good comment, like that comment, or even you can respond to that comment too. Would love to see a bigger building of the community here on the Morning Star Drive. Now, we got 3 questions today. Really, really good questions. The first question is about healing and expectations. Okay? So if a person, here's a question. If a person is sick and the sickness the person has is manageable with some medications up to a certain level, but it's incurable, what kind of expectations can we as believers have when we go before God? If we have done everything we can to manage this with doctors and medicine, etc., is it realistic to pray that God will heal this person, or does God heal only up to the level to which medicine and science has developed? All right, so that is a great question, and it has to do with the healing and our expectations of healing, especially when like diseases or whatever hits a certain level. Right. The second question we have is, since Jesus has paid off the sins of Jews who didn't believe in him, he died on the cross so that they could go to paradise. And then this member said, from what they know, those who accuse Jesus will go to the abyss. So how is it that Jesus paid for all the sins, yet we have the Jews still going to the abyss, or maybe even some going to hell, right? Third question is from the Monday Pre-Dawn Proverbs, I believe from last week. It says the world will develop and change according to the words. And we have to realize the power of the words. So the big question is, how can I realize this power? I can understand how words can change a person, but I can't really link the words with the world's events, right? So how does the word change the world? And that's a great question. How are you able to see these things? So I think it's something we're going to have a really, really good Q&A today, and hope you guys are going to can't wait for that. It's going to come right after the praise and worship time, after the golden time, right? So I had an amazing time yesterday. I went to a hockey game. I haven't been to a hockey game in like 10, 15 years, and Very, very cool time. Well, literally speaking, because it's an ice hockey game. Vancouver Canucks, my hometown team. I went to watch a game. It was so good. And the reason why I really wanted to go to yesterday's game was because of a player named Connor McJesus. Okay, you're like, what? Connor McJesus? And I'm like, well, when he was coming into the league, they were considering him like the savior of the league. Like, he's the best player by far, and whoever gets this player, their team is going to change. And that's why his name is Connor McDavid, but actually everyone kept calling him Connor McJesus, because whoever drafts him, he'll save the team. And to no disappointment, he scores the game-winning goal, the sudden death goal in overtime. Amazing goal, too. And I was just like, what? It's so crazy. So I was sad that my home team lost, but yet I was in awe of this Connor McJesus dude. So I was super, super happy to watch that. And I had a good time spending that time with my brother, too. So those of you guys who have never seen an ice hockey game, I'm going to tell you straight up right now, of all the sports that I've seen NFL, CFL, which is Canadian Football League. I've seen ice hockey, basketball. I've seen a bunch of different leagues, like the top leagues. I've seen baseball. But I tell you right now, ice hockey is the most exciting game to watch live. I'm dead serious. It is the most exciting game to watch live. It's so fast-paced. You're glued to the action. It is so fast-paced and fun to watch. It's always shifting and moving around. And it's it was just really, really amazing. And even for me, those 2 hours, I spent 3 hours. Because the game started at 7 and we got, so maybe about 2.5 hours. It went to overtime too, so it was amazing. And overtime, the rules in overtime is just awesome because it's 3-on-3 and it's only 5 minutes. So I thought that was quite intense too to watch. But if you guys ever come to Vancouver, please tell me you're coming. I would love to go watch a hockey game with you. All right. So this week, tonight, what do we have? We have a new video on Espresso with Sky, and it's going to be a very interesting one. It's going to be about psychics and mediums, right? Are they real? Are psychics and mediums really real? What does the Bible say about this, right? And also, this week's Sunday edition was done with Prince Givens. And Prince Givens from Houston, Texas, over there in the U.S. And next week, we will be meeting another member, but it's going to be another artist series. It'll be the second artist series I do, and it's going to be with Juice-Star Aiden Verity. And she's going to be talking about her video, her song called I Get Excited. And if you listen to that song, it's a great song, but even more than that, guys, when you hear the background behind it, you're like, oh, wow, it's even more inspiring. So go ahead and check out the artist series for next week. I'm very just grateful and thankful for all of you guys who are like volunteering and coming out and wanting to do these artist series. Because I'm just thankful that you guys want to do it. And I really feel that this is going to leave a lasting legacy for the future generations more than anything else. So thank you so much for these inspiring and moving and fun interviews that you guys are giving. All right. So let's get into today's featured artist of the day. Today is a little bit special because our featured artist of the day is by request. And yesterday we got a comment on YouTube from Steph, and she really wanted to hear Zeniac with the song Trans-Neptunian Observation. So that is today's featured artist of the day, Zeniac from the Paper Music Associates in Korea with Trans-Neptunian Observation. Guys, I would love to hear your requests, so just pop them into the comments below if there's a song you really want to hear. That second song is going to be The Sky from Japan with Spring Emotion. And third is the Rapture Collective from Australia with All My Thanks and Love.
たいだ。ああ春の風に触ったみたいだ。ああ僕の声が君と重なる。ああ心の中見せてください。新しい景色、新しい時も今までの記憶消えて生まれ変わるみたいに。君の愛の雨ください。切ないほどに離れないまま言葉じゃなくていいからずっとずっとそばで。声が届くようにと枯れた涙で祈るばかりだ。別々の世界に分かれていても未だに信じているよ。春の雨に打たれて君の愛一つ寂しい気持ちこらえながら言葉でだけでいい。ただ忘れていないと澄んだ空突き刺している水面に映るあなたがいる世界に。君の愛の雨ください。切ないほどに離れないまま言葉じゃなくていい。ただずっとずっとそばで。
Yeah, welcome to God's new history. Daily preaching, the Bible no longer a mystery. Saving lives, taking action, what a wonderful destiny. Working tirelessly and we can become heavenly. All I ever wanted for you is to see we can become one with the Trinity. A condition was set by His highest. Confess and pray, create a new mindset. If you follow until the end, I promise you, you will surely realize God's divineness.
He's divine, y'all. Alpha and Omega, He's divine. Yeah. So let's reflect on the past. You gotta look deeply at the things God has done. Salvation at the highest has been granted. That's a blessing of blessings, the Lord's mandate. Spring water the hills faster than a band-aid. COVID safe cause His eyes was on us like a magnet. Got the seal on our foreheads, yet they can't do nothing. The devil and his gang have been disbanded.
So I raise my praise to you. So I lift my hands up high. Even in my weakness, even in my struggles, I'll always give my thanks and love. All my thanks and love.
Got so many bars that I never lose signal. Keeping it lit like a candlelight vigil. Lamp to my feet and a lighter to my palm. God's word is my perspective, the righteous collective. Filtering pollution, being mentally selective. Guarding the heart, it's a protective. Do it in a new way, in spirit and physicality. Do it in a new way, take it higher, raise a level. Giving God glory, God's love is the story. So rich in His love, feeling like a rich miser. Love is exploding like a geyser. Love so contagious, spread across the world like Pfizer. Antidote all the nation.
Reflect on the past. You gotta look deeply at the things God has done. Salvation at the highest has been granted. That's a blessing of blessings, the Lord's mandate. Spring water that heals faster than a band-aid. COVID safe cause his eyes was on us like a magnet. Got the seal on our foreheads, yet they can't do nothing. The devil and his gang have been disbanded.
So I raise my praise to you. So I lift my hands up high. Even in my weakness, even in my struggles, I'll always give my thanks and love. All my thanks and love.
And there you have it. That is the Rapture Collective from Australia with All My Thanks and Love. Before that, The Sky from Japan with Spring Emotion. And of course, the request from Steph over there on YouTube, Xeniac from PMA in Korea with Trans-Neptunian Observation. So that brings us into the news going on around the world. A lot of things going on. Really, really thankful that we're able to have such fluid communication where we can find out what's going on halfway around the world, or even in the smallest villages in places we've never heard of. And it's all because God has given us this technology, internet, and all these things that just allow us to communicate. And just look at YouTube itself. We're all able to watch this same program over and over, and we're all from different countries too. So I'm really thankful to God that we're able to see this. Top 3 reasons why we listen to world news, or why we need it. As Sunseem said, the first thing is you get to see what God is actually doing in the world when you see the world news or world events. The second thing is we get to see the condition of the world. What is the world like? What is the mind of the world like right now? And then last but not least, we can look at some of these saddening items that might be things that we don't want to hear, but realizing God's shimjung and like comforting his heart more than anything else. Okay, so let's get into it, starting with the coronavirus updates for today. We're going to get into the global statistics first. Up to date, there have been 360.5 million cases with over 5.63 million deaths. And once again, the mortality rate drops to 1.56%. Top 5 countries going by daily death rates. U.S. with 2,611 deaths in a single day, and that's with 443,000 cases. Remember this daily, guys. India jumps to second with 692 deaths at 285,000 cases. Russia, 681 deaths at 67,000 cases. Brazil, 489 deaths at 199,000 cases. And then France, they're in the top 5, but look at their infection rate. Like, they have 467 deaths, so they're top 5, but their infection rate is even higher than the U.S. right now. It's 501,000. I think this is a record for them too. Over here in North America, where I'm at right now, of course, the U.S. is on top. Canada in second with 180 deaths in a single day with 13,000 cases. And then Mexico with 118 deaths at 17,000 cases. All right. So let's get into the world news. The biggest news right now is Russia and the Ukraine. And new news has come up from the U.S. that's saying that they could possibly sanction the president, Vladimir Putin, personally if Russia invades, right? And this is what President Biden said. So U.S. President Joe Biden says he would consider personal sanctions on Vladimir Putin if Russia invades the Ukraine. And Mr. Biden said there would be enormous consequences for the world if Russia made a move on the nation, which sits on its southwestern border. His comments came as other Western leaders repeated warnings that Russia would pay a heavy price for invasion, and Russia has accused the U.S. and others of escalating tensions over the issue and denies planning to enter Ukraine. Now, however, Moscow has deployed an estimated 100,000 soldiers near the border, and the Kremlin has said it sees the Western military alliance NATO as a security threat and is demanding legal guarantees that it will not add new members further east, including neighboring Ukraine. But the U.S. has said the issue at stake is Russian aggression, not NATO expansion. So fears of invasion have prompted Western embassies in Kiev to withdraw some personnel. I believe the U.S. has withdrawn. The UK has also told people in the embassy in the UK to withdraw also. Ukraine's Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba, however, told reporters on Wednesday that while the troop buildup poses a threat to Ukraine, He believes it is insufficient for a full-scale offensive. Now, diplomats from Russia, Ukraine, Germany, and France gathered in Paris on Wednesday for talks about the ongoing tensions. Taking questions from reporters on Tuesday, Biden replied yes when asked whether he could see himself imposing sanctions on the Russian president personally in the event of an invasion. Now, such a move across Ukraine's border would mean enormous consequences worldwide and could amount to the largest invasion since World War II. Now, on Wednesday, the UK Foreign Minister, Liz Truss, echoed Mr. Biden's words, telling the BBC's Today program that the government has ruled nothing out, including sanctions against the Russian leader, and said the UK is looking to toughen up its sanctions on people, banks, and businesses. Western powers agreed to unprecedented sanctions against Russia if it were to invade during crisis talks earlier this week. And on Tuesday, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson raised the issue of banning Russia from the SWIFT international payment systems, a move which senior Russian officials said meant Europe would not be able to pay for and receive Russian products. And Russia responded angrily to Biden's remarks. Dmitry Peskov, spokesperson for Putin, said such sanctions would not be painful for the president, but would be politically destructive. And he added that Russia's top government officials were banned from having any assets or accounts abroad, and that Putin's salary went to the Russia Bank. Now, separately, Mr. Biden's administration said it was working with oil and gas suppliers around the world to boost shipments to Europe in the event of Russia cutting off supplies. And this is from the New York Times. Russia currently provides about 1/3 of the crude oil and gas imported by the European Union. And speaking at a press conference on Wednesday, President of the European Council, Charles Michel, warned that aggression against Ukraine would result in serious consequences. So, Biden also said on Tuesday that he would feel obliged to beef up NATO's presence in Eastern Europe if Russia invaded, but he repeated that there would be no plans to send U.S. troops into the Ukraine itself. The U.S. has already put about 8,500 combat-ready troops on alert to deploy at short notice, and Russia has accused the U.S. and NATO of flooding Ukraine with weapons and Western advisors. Now, Washington has also warned Russian ally Belarus that it would face a swift and decisive response if it assisted in an invasion, and Russia seized Ukrainian territory before when it annexed Crimea in 2014. Now, after Russian forces seized control, Crimea voted to join Russia in a referendum the West and Ukraine deemed illegal. Russian-backed rebels also control areas of eastern Ukraine near Russia's borders, and that conflict had cost an estimated 14,000 lives, with the 2015 peace deal a long way from being fulfilled. So let's see what happens in Russia. That's going to be quite interesting to see if there's anything going to escalate, and there is no way of knowing exactly what is going to happen. But let's pray and see what God is going to do in that region over there. In second news, we're going to go into Syria. So Kurdish-led forces say they have retaken Syrian prisons seized by IS, or ISIS, formerly known as ISIS, right? So a Kurdish-led militia alliance says it has regained full control of a prison in northeastern Syria seized by the Islamic State 6 days ago. A spokesperson from the U.S.-backed Syrian Democratic Forces, the SDF, tweeted that all Daesh terrorists inside Hasaka's Gwarin prison had surrendered. So several hundred children detainees were also trapped in the facility with them. At least 181 people have reportedly been killed in clashes since IS tried to stage a mass breakout on Thursday. And they include 124 militants and inmates and 50 police. SDF fighters and prison guards, according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. The UK-based monitoring group reported on Wednesday afternoon that the SDF was mostly in control of the prison, but it warned that militants might still be hiding in cells and sections that had not been searched. The SDF is holding 12,000 men and teenage boys detained during the war against IS in overcrowded, makeshift prisons in northern and eastern areas of Syria under its control, as well as 60,000 women, girls, and young boys in locked camps. The attack on the Gwarin prison on Thursday night was the biggest IS operation since the jihadist group's military defeat in Syria in 2019 and came amid signs of a resurgence. Sleeper cells used explosives to blow holes in the outer walls and enter the facility to free fellow jihadists among the estimated 4,000 male inmates. Hundreds of SDF fighters and members of the allied Asayish security force battled to take back the prison with the help of fighter jets. helicopters, and armored vehicles from a U.S.-led multinational coalition. The SDF said 23 prison guards held as hostages had been freed and that more than 1,000 militants and inmates had surrendered before its spokesman Farhad Shami announced the end of the operation on Wednesday afternoon. Mr. Shami had no mention in his tweet of the 700 children who the SDF said had been used as human shields by the IS militants and inmates, but he told Voice of America, "Had the safety of the children not been our major concern, we could have finished this operation in 1 or 2 days with heavy weapons." The UN Children's Agency UNICEF said on Tuesday night that it had received deeply worrisome reports of fatalities among children trapped in the facility and called on all parties to allow them to be evacuated to safety. Now, some detainees had sent audio messages saying they had seen the bodies of several children and warning that there was no food, water, or medicine. And Human Rights Watch tweeted that they had been contacted by an 18-year-old American and a Canadian man inside the prison who told Human Rights Watch that 15 to 20 boys could have been killed. And that they feared they would be shot if they tried to leave. So UNICEF said that most of the 850 children, some as young as 12 years old, detained in prisons without charge by the SDF, were being held at Guaran before Thursday's attack. Most were Syrian and Iraqi boys, while the rest are nationals of 20 other countries who refused to repatriate them. The agency said the time had come for the children to finally be allowed to return to their home countries. The SDF and the Kurdish-led administration in northeastern Syria have also called for the repatriation of suspected jihadists and their families, warning that they do not have the resources to detain them forever. So the commander of the U.S.-led coalition's Joint Task Force, Major General John Brennan, praised the bravery and determination of the SDF fighters in Hasaka. But he also warned, this is not a problem solely within this city. This is a global problem that requires many nations to come together to develop an enduring long-term solution. So it's not clear how many inmates escaped during the prison attack. IS has claimed that it freed around 800 people, while the SDF said most of those who got away have been recaptured. So, yikes. Yeah, it's pretty sad that they're detaining children, like over 800 children, like as young as 12 years old, and then many of them being killed already or used as a human shield. So I'm sure this is something that we can really comfort God's heart in, and knowing that God has freed these children. Last but not least, we're going to go into the UK. And the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson refuses to resign as reports over the Partygate looms, which is basically the story that he held a party during lockdowns, which were considered illegal, right? So Johnson is grilled by lawmakers ahead of the release of an official report into his alleged breaches of COVID lockdown, and the Prime Minister has once again defied calls to resign over his Partygate scandal during the weekly Prime Minister's questions session in the House of Commons. Johnson was grilled by UK opposition leader Keir Starmer on Wednesday before the release of an official report into allegations of partying during lockdown, and Starmer accused Johnson of changing his story over the gatherings and misleading Parliament, an offence which the Prime Minister agreed should trigger a resignation. Now, it's not clear when senior civil servant Sue Gray will turn in her report on the investigation into the alleged lockdown breaches to the government. Johnson has previously promised to publish it in full and to address Parliament about its findings. Allegations that the Prime Minister and his staff flouted restrictions imposed on the country to curb the spread of the coronavirus have caused public anger, led some Conservative lawmakers to call for Johnson's resignation, and triggered intense infighting inside the governing party. Johnson has apologized for attending one event, a Bring Your Own Booze gathering in the garden of his Downing Street offices in May 2020, but said he had considered the party a work gathering that fell within the rules. Johnson supporters have also defended a June 2020 surprise birthday party for the Prime Minister inside Downing Street, and loyal lawmaker Connor Burns said Johnson did not know about the gathering in advance. So Johnson has urged his critics to wait for Gray's conclusions, but his wait-and-see defense weakened on Tuesday when police said they had opened a criminal investigation into some of the gatherings. So London's Metropolitan Police Force said a number of events at Johnson's Downing Street office and other government buildings met the force's criteria for investigating the most serious and flagrant breaches of the coronavirus rules. So this could be something we're going to see, that there is possible that we can see a resignation of a prime minister of one of the most powerful countries in the world, the UK. So let's see what happens here. So that is the top 3 world news. So let's get into some sporting news. We start with the NHL because, yes, I went to one of these games. Very, very amazing game. I went to go see Connor McJesus, as I said before, and they won in overtime 3-2. Exciting, amazing game, even though my hometown lost. But I really, really enjoyed it. The next game after that was Ottawa, another Canadian team defeating Buffalo Sabres 5-0. The Pittsburgh Penguins, one of my favorite teams, defeat the Arizona Coyotes 6-3. Sidney Crosby, he was like the McJesus before McJesus came, right? And he scored 1 goal and 2 assists, having a great season. Dallas Stars beat the New Jersey Devils 5-1. Carolina Hurricanes, one of the top teams in the country, defeat the Vegas Golden Knights 4-3. The New York Islanders defeat the Philadelphia Flyers 4-3. The Florida Panthers, top team in the league, defeat the Winnipeg Jets 5-3. And Nashville Predators defeat the Seattle Kraken 4-2. In NBA action, Canadian team Toronto Raptors defeat the Charlotte Hornets 125-113. LaMelo Ball having a great game. He's having a great season. 25.7 assists, and he might be up for it's his second year now. He was Rookie of the Year last year, and he's just having an amazing season again. Denver Nuggets defeat the Detroit Pistons 110-105. Philadelphia 76ers, a second game in a row, 117 points, 117-105. Over 117-107 over the New Orleans Pelicans. Joel Embiid, 42 points, 14 rebounds, and 4 blocks. Lakers, they have the return of Anthony Davis, and they defeat the Brooklyn Nets 106-96. It was LeBron James leading scores with 33 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and James Harden with the triple-double, 33 points, 12 rebounds, and 11 assists. Boston Celtics defeat the Sacramento Kings 128-75. That is a massive shellacking, over 40-point win. Jason Tatum with 36 points. Then the Golden State Warriors back on their groove, defeating the Dallas Mavericks by 38 points, 130-92, and Steph Curry with 18 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists. And in the Australian Open action, the semis are now all set, as in the men's side, Medvedev defeats Auger Aliassime from Canada in a 5-set thriller, and Tsitsipas from Greece defeats Yannick Sinner from Italy. Yes, his last name is Sinner. Pretty crazy, right? So they'll be playing against each other in the semifinals, and Nadal will be over there on the other side. In women's action also, the semifinals are set as Danielle Collins from the U.S. defeats Elise Cornet from France, and Iga Swiatek from Poland defeats Kaia Kanepi from Estonia. So now that the semifinals are set, we're going to see over this amazing weekend the last parts of who's going to be in the finals, who's going to win this major title, this Australian Open, right? So that is top 3 news for sports, world news, and of course, the coronavirus updates for today. And that means we're going to get into the golden time. Yes, it is the golden time right now. Hope you guys will really enjoy and giving praise and glory to the Holy Trinity. And we're going to start off with one of the new songs that was just produced and put onto the Pravi music site. We're going to first listen to Providence News. Right, so Providence News, oldie but a goodie, but it has been redone, and it's kind of coming out again in the Sunday services, especially when Pastor Joan is preaching. Providence News is going to be first, and then We Have Fulfilled the Purpose of Love, and then we'll end things off with Pastor Joan's song, Nanan Hananin Pun Inida. All right, so as one body of the Morning Star Drive, let's spend this time giving praise, honor, and glory to the Holy Trinity.
Cause this is the new history. Just like jade, their hearts are flawless. Water of life, wash them clean. Providence is filled with youth, cause this is the new history. Just like jade, their hearts are flawless. Water of life, wash them clean. Shall I go and preach the word, or shall I sing them a song? The troubles of life fade away through the Lord's word. Through the word they all fade away. Through the Lord's word they all fade away. Through the word they all fade away. 'cause it's the new history. People flooding, seeking the truth. They all come to hear the word. They come here to Providence. Their spirits are starved and thin. They listen even through the night to the Lord's word. The Lord's word that's deeper than deep. Oh, the Lord's word is deeper than deep. The Lord's word is deeper than deep. The Lord's word is deeper than deep.
Providence is filled with you, cause it's the new history. Just like Jay, their hearts are flawless. They have been washed with water. Shall I go and preach the word, or shall I sing a song? The troubles of life fade through the Lord's great work. They're all gone. Providence is where the Lord speaks, cause it's the new history. People flooding, seeking the truth. They'll come to hear the word. They come here to Providence. Their spirits starved within. They listen all through the night to the great word of the Lord.
There are trials, persecution, 'cause it's the last history. But because the Lord is with us, there is nothing that we fear. There are trials, persecution, 'cause it's the last history. But because the Lord is with us, there is nothing that we fear. From nations throughout the world, we gather to Providence. We're singing all the new songs and preaching. We preach the word of the Lord. We're happy, so we laugh and laugh. With joy we all laugh and laugh. With joy we all laugh and laugh. We laugh and laugh. We laugh and
I'm happy if you're happy. The Trinity are happy too. That is all that matters. Since we found the path of life, now we can say time can keep flowing away. I'm on the way to heaven. We have fulfilled God's purpose of eternal love. In that golden heaven above, from the sunrise to the sunset, even as the moon begins to rise, even as the stars light up the night, we should go on serving God, serving the Holy Spirit. You and I should spend our days like this. I'm on the way to heaven. We have fulfilled God's purpose of eternal love. In that golden heaven above, from the sunrise to the sunset, even as the moon begins to life is great, meaningful. Life is awesome when we live this way.
사랑의 하나님 나를 택하셔서 사랑해 주시는 하나님 능력의 하나님 나와 함께 하사 도우시네 나는 하나님의 사랑입니다. 나는 하나님의 신부입니다. 그는 나를 택하셨고 나 또한 마음 정했으니 나는 하나님 뜻을 지켜갑니다. 나는 하나님의 사랑입니다. 나는 하나님의 신부입니다. 그는 나를 택하셨고 나 또한 마음 정했으니 나는 하나님 뜻을 이뤄
There you have that inspiring song that just came out from Pastor Joe, and that is 나는 하나님뿐입니다. I am a person of God. All right. Before that was We Have Fulfilled the Purpose of Love and Providence News. Okay. So that leads us into a very special section. I love this section because Q&A. The reason why I like Q&A so much is these are the thoughts or these are the questions we have right now. Right? These are in real time. People send me the questions a week before, a couple of days before, and we just go over these questions, how we can kind of organize and think about, oh, this is what it meant. Oh, okay, so this is the answer now. And a lot of times, for me, being in Providence for over 23 years, I've seen a lot of things, and I've heard lots of word from Sunstream 2, and been able to kind of digest the word so that it's able to connect things together. And I think that's an important thing as someone who is, I'm not even sure this is the right word to use, as like not a senior of Providence. I'm not sure what I would call an elder, not even an elder. I'm not even sure what the right word is. But I do think it's a responsibility for those who have been here for a long time to be able to help those who have just gotten here. And we do struggle over different things. And some questions are so important that they do affect our faith. And today we have three very interesting questions, and we're going to start off with the first one here on Q&A Thursday about healing and having realistic expectations. So if a person's sick, sickness is manageable, some medications to a certain level, but incurable. What kind of expectations can we as believers have when we go before God? And if we have done everything we can to manage this with doctors and medicines, is it realistic to even pray that God will heal this person? Or does God heal only up to a certain level to which medicine and science has developed? Okay, great question. And I think the two big words here is, number one, we're talking about healings, right? But the second word I think that we really have to think about is expectation. Right? How much expectation should we have when we look at these different people who are sick at different levels? And I would say the best quote I've heard about expectation is the thief of joy. Right? Expectation is the thief of joy. Because of expectations, things that we should be happy about, we won't be happy enough because our expectation was much too high. Right? Or something is a lot bigger than we think because the expectation was too low, but it was kind of a normal thing too, right? So I would say that expectation, when we have expectation, it means that we think that there's supposed to be an outcome. We're having a hope in an outcome, right? Meaning it actually means that we put ourselves into God's position, like, God, you should do this. My expectation is that you heal this person, okay? So especially when it comes to things in God's hands, it's not about whether God has the power or not. It's about whether it is the will. Okay? And some people are going to bring up stuff like, well, what about children? A child has a disease. Is it the will of God for a child to die? And the answer is, you don't know. We really don't. We don't know all things and the future. Like, haven't you seen that movie Butterfly Effect? When one decision can change so many different outcomes in life. We don't know. And that's the biggest thing that we have to acknowledge as people who really believe in God is we really don't know what the outcome is. And if this happens, what's going to be the outcome of this? Right? So we have to be those that understand. The first thing we have to say to ourselves is we don't know everything. And this is why we shouldn't have any expectation. Right? So when we pray for healing on someone, what we're doing is we're leaving it into God's hands. And what we're saying is we trust that God will do what is proper and right because he's all-knowing and he knows which is important. What we come to God is we come before him and we plead our case and say, God, please, I'm setting this condition because I really, 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 this person, I love this person. I pray that, that this person can be healed. And what we're doing is we're setting the condition and we trust that God, who is all-knowing, knows all things, what's going to happen if this is done or if this is not done. And with this trust, we give this trust to God and we say, God, I pray to you, I set the condition, and I trust that you will make the right one, knowing all situations and circumstances. What I learned in Christianity is whenever we ask or plead something from God, we are actually asking for the answer to his decision. What does that mean? And he said there's always three answers God gives to people when they pray and set conditions. And number one is yes. Yes, I will do what you asked. It is proper. It is the will. The second one is no. And sometimes God does say no. If he said yes to every single thing, can you imagine what the world would be like right now? And there are some things not proper, not the will, some things that will hurt you eventually in the future. We don't even see it. There are things that can hurt other people. Like there's just so many things that we don't know, but sometimes God is going to say no. And the third answer that God always gives is wait. Wait meaning it's not time, or you have to set more condition, right? So when it comes in healings, remember, it's either yes, no, or wait. Those are the three answers God gives. In healings, sometimes God will tell us to take someone to the hospital, right? Because it reached a certain point, okay? Now, that is the answer from God. That is the healing from God is, yes, take him to the hospital. Now, we're like, wait, but that doesn't seem like God's healing. But we have to understand is, remember that there's always, God's law has set a line of no return. Right? Now, what does that mean? It basically means that, when we learned in the charts from the message on Sunday that if you cross into the line of hell, that is complete death. Like you cannot be saved from complete hell. There's a line that you crossed. And God's rules, God's law. This is not about, well, God, are you saying God can't do this? It's not about God can't do it. It's about this is God's law. He has set this law. Right? So even when it comes to death, like that's spiritual death. When you cross into the line of hell, there's no way back once you cross it, okay? In physical death, there is a time of complete death, and there's a time when you cannot come back to life. True, right? So when you look at that too, we talked about this, I think at the beginning of the week, is even when it comes to resurrection of physical human beings, Jesus only resurrected people 3 to 4 days dead. Sometimes they died just a couple hours ago, because that is the law that is set. And when it comes to healing too, yeah, there comes a point where people need to get the medicines. They have no other choice besides this one there, right? And that is something that we do need to know, that there is a line. Now, do we know what the line is? And honestly, I don't. But I could say that if you're stage 4 cancer, right, you've probably reached the line where, someone seems like, no, go get them, take them to the hospital, right? Take them to the hospital. But what about stage 3 or 3.5 or 3 1/4? Like we're not sure where that line is. And because we don't know, one of the things we're pleading with God is, God, please, if you can, not if you can, God, if it's the will, please heal this person. And I do think it's true that expectation becomes the thief of joy, or expectation becomes a thief of faith, where people were expecting God to heal someone, but nothing happened, so they start to leave or doubt God. Well, this is not the way God works, right? It's kind of like a child. When a child comes to their parents and asks for a dog, and the parents keep saying no, and the child gets so upset, oh, my parents are terrible, this, and this. But later you figure out that, hey, guess what? We don't even have enough money to take care of the family. How could we support this dog and feed this dog? We can barely even, live, we're in debt feeding this family. And later on you realize, oh, I didn't know about that. Then I wouldn't have been so upset, right? So one thing I do think is pray, set the conditions, but we need to entrust it to God. Entrusting it to God is, God, I set the condition, and this is something that I really, because it's someone I love, please. And then God, will take up that case, like in a court, he'll take up the case, and we entrust it to God is, God, you know all things. I don't. And you know every situation, and I leave it in your hands. God, I love this person. This person is someone I love so much. And I ask, and I come to you to heal this person. And you pray this every day because you love this person, right? But the moment there's expectation is the moment it becomes either the thief of joy, or in our case, it becomes a thief of faith. So I think expectation is not what you're looking for. The only expectation we're trying to figure out is, God, what is your answer? Is it yes, no, or wait, right? And I think that is a much more healthier approach. We still plead, we still cry before God because we love this person, or whatever the situation is. And, I would say that even if you have, imagine your expectation is fully healing, but let's just say God only half heals them. But that is, it's a thief of joy because it's so much better than what it was before, You know what I mean? Like imagine someone has like stage 4 cancer, and like when Sunstein pleaded for, obviously his mom didn't have stage 4 cancer, but he knew his mother was going to die. But, with his pleading, he got 10 more years. Imagine your expectation. Sunstein's expectation is she can't die until she's like 115 or something like that. Can you imagine the disappointment that Sunstein would have with God? And sometimes when we have these expectations for they have to be healed, or they have to be healed like this is when the expectation becomes a thief of joy or a thief of our faith. So yeah, I do think the two questions I answered is, I don't think we should have expectation for the outcome. We should have the expectation of an opportunity where God will take our case and give us an answer and say yes, no, or wait. And then the second thing is, of course, to set the condition. And the second thing is, there is a time where there is a line that is crossed where you need to go to the hospital. Like there has to be, right? So I hope that's something that can help you out when it comes to expectations, or what types of expectations we're supposed to have. Which leads us to the second question, right? Since Jesus paid the sins of the Jews who didn't believe in him, so they could go to paradise, right? And the answer is yes. But from what I know, or from through the message, it says that those who accuse Jesus, which are Jews, that Jesus paid for their sins, will go to the abyss. And we're like, what? That doesn't make any sense. So this kind of moves into like spiritual world and a resurrection lesson, right? Or the salvation lecture, which we don't teach anymore. And it comes from the most famous verse, which is John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he sent his one and only son, and he paid for the sins. He died for everyone, right? He died especially for the Jews, to pay for their sins. And it says, whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. And what does that mean? Right? So the key factor here is what did Jesus die for? And the answer is he died for the sins. And especially particularly when it comes to when he's dying on the cross, he's dying for a particular sin. This is something that we learn in the predestination lecture about Jesus didn't have to go to the cross, but he had to go to the cross because his own people had to crucify him, right? So the big question here is, what did Jesus die for? On behalf of Israel. And Israel, the sin was the worst sin of crucifying the Messiah, the one that God sent. And that was the unforgivable sin, or the sin that basically condemned all Jews to death. Which means now, at this situation, all Jews were destined to death no matter what. And the only way to save them was through Jesus dying on the cross on their behalf. He sacrificed himself for his own people, for that sin of crucifying the one sent, the man of God. And Jesus he understood the grief of God, that God didn't want his people to die and go to hell. So after setting the condition, right, then Jesus dies on the cross. And since he died on the cross, they should be forgiven. And the key word in John 3:16 is whosoever, or whoever believes shall not perish. So the key thing that you have to understand is, even though Jesus died, if you don't believe in him, if you don't believe in Jesus, then that condition means nothing to you, right? It makes sense, right? If you don't believe in Jesus, then you don't even believe that he's the Messiah that set a condition or sacrificed anything for you. So you can't be forgiven for it. But if you believe that Jesus is the Messiah and he paid, someone so great, the Messiah paid the sins for me, then his sacrifice becomes reality in my life. And then I begin to pray in his name, because praying in his name is praying in the name of that condition that was set. Jesus died for the Israelites, right? For their sins. And this gave them the opportunity and the chance to be saved. Which means before him dying on the cross, because they crucified him, because they sentenced him to death, no one had any chance for life. But since he died on the cross for their sins, now they had a chance, right? And the chance is basically whoever believes in Jesus, that he is the Messiah and died for your sins, then you will not perish and have everlasting life. Right? That's when sacrifice becomes reality. So, in the same way, Jesus died for the world. He died for everyone's sins. Does that mean all people go to heaven? And the answer is no. However, everyone can be saved if they believe in Jesus as the Messiah and they believe that he died for their sins, right? So, it's kind of like the predestination lecture is, even though Jesus died for everyone, why doesn't everyone go to heaven? That's the same question that this person is making, as in, well, Jesus died for the sins of the Jews, so why aren't they all in paradise? Why are some of them in abyss? Well, it's the same question as Jesus died for all people. Well, if Jesus died for all sins in the world, then shouldn't everyone go to paradise? And the answer is no, only those that believe, right? People have a choice now, when in the past they did not. So, now you don't have to go to death. You don't have to go to hell. So there are a couple of verses that you can read, like John 3:16 is one of them. Another verse that you could read is John chapter 1, verse 12, that says, yet to all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave them the right to become children of God, right? So it's to all who receive, to those who believe in his name can become saved. And of course, also Romans chapter 10, verse 13 is another super important verse, is for everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved, right? So you have to call on the name. And in order to call on the name, you have to believe first too. Okay, so that is question number 2. And last one, number 3, is from last week's Monday Proverbs, the world will develop and change according to the words. And we have to realize the power of the words. So how can I realize this power? Now, it's very easy to understand how words change a person, but how do we link it to the world's events? Okay, so yes, it is true. It is a time of realizing. We can only understand to as much as we've realized. So some of the past experience, I'm going to give you some examples of how the words have authority and power. Okay, so back in 1999, Sunseem visited New York, and he did in front of the Twin Towers. The ones that the planes went into, the terrorism, 9/11. In front of those towers, basically, Sunseem warned all the members that they better start evangelizing or judgment is coming. And he said this right in front of the Twin Towers, okay, which is about a year and a half before it actually happened. Right? Remember the tsunami in Indonesia, where like 300,000 people died, right? Sunseem before that time, I believe it was maybe a month or 2 months before, talked about people do not celebrate Jesus on Christmas, when they should be celebrating and worshiping and giving glory and giving thanksgiving to God, but instead they just do their own things and go on vacation. And he said it's similar to having your birthday party and all your friends are inside exchanging gifts with each other, and you're on the outside in the snow, just watching from the outside how your friends celebrate your birthday by themselves, right? And then the tsunami hit Indonesia. And then, of course, there's that big prayer condition that happened, and Sunseem talked about judgment on the North Korean leader. And then, of course, he died, right? So these are things that are happening in world events after he was said. Now, here's the thing. How many people actually connected it? And the answer is not many. So why? So the first thing is, I can see the words changing people. Why? Because seeing people change is easy because it happens in a relatively short amount of time. When someone listens to the word, within months, 5 months, 7 months, 8 months, we're like, what? My brother's changed. My mom has changed. My dad has changed. This person I evangelized, wow, they've changed, right? And you're able to see change a lot quicker. Okay. Now, when it comes to world events, partly is people don't look at world events, and this is why we do world news here on the Morning Star Drive. But when you magnify it to the world, in the world setting, it's much bigger and takes a lot more time, right? People change quickly, in months, in weeks, right? But the world is very different because it's a larger setting. So let me give you an example. The Twin Towers, right? 9/11 happened in New York, and Sunseem prophesied about it a year and a half before. Funny thing was, even though he said it in front of the Twin Towers a year and a half before, when the Twin Towers went down, no one remembered what Sunseem said. It was too far away. Too many things happened in between the actual event. So even when the word was given, right? Even when the word was given and people heard it, and then the actual thing happened, people still can't connect it. They just can't. Right? We're not thinking about it anymore. And even when the word was close, like a month or 2 months before, when you hear a word like the tsunamis happening in Indonesia, whatever it was, people still couldn't put it together. The problem is not so much that we don't hear the words or we don't see the change. The problem is that we don't remember or we can't connect the words to the world events, right? So we're watching what happened. That's why we're looking at the world news now and seeing what is happening, and we're trying to connect the dots more and more. And this is why sometimes Sunseem even has to tell us, like, no, do you guys remember now? You guys remember now? So even when Sunseem talks about the religious world changing according to the word, Sunseem even said in the past, way before that, churches, Christianity will start teaching bits and pieces of the 30 lessons. And it's true. Now people are starting to teach about the judgment of fire in different churches. So the issue is not so much we can't see it, or it's like, oh, how do I link it? We don't connect. Even though we hear the answer, we don't connect it when we hear the news, right? Which means that we either forget what Sunseem said, forget what the words say, or we forget, or else we forget, or we can't connect it. So we either forget or we don't connect. Okay. And if we start thinking about it more proactively, we'll be able to find those answers. All right. So that is the 3 questions we have for today's word study. I hope you guys really, really enjoyed it. So that leads us into the song of choice for today. And of course, today is Thursday, which means it is Boy Band Thursday. So what are we going to do today? Today we're going to go way back into time. This is not one of my favorite groups, but they're really good. I acknowledge how good they were as a boy band. We're going to go into a song from NSYNC. Yes, the bitter rivals of Backstreet Boys. And NSYNC, this song is a song that I actually know all the words to because it was a great song too. This song is on Boy Band Thursday. It is NSYNC with It's Gonna Be Me.
Ooh, yeah. You might been hurt, babe. That ain't no lie. You seen them all come and go. I remember you told me that it made you believe in no man, no cry. Maybe that's right. Every little thing I do never seems enough for you. You don't wanna lose it again, but I'm not like them. Baby, when you finally get to love somebody, guess what? It's gonna be me. You got no choice, babe, but to move on. And you know there ain't no time to waste. 'Cause you're just too blind to see. But in the end, you know it's gonna be me. You can't deny. So just tell me why. Every little thing I do never seems enough for you. You don't wanna lose it again, but I'm not like them. Baby, when you finally get to love somebody, guess what? It's gonna be me. Ooh, yeah. There comes a day when I'll be the one you'll see. It's gonna be me. All that I do is not enough for you. I don't wanna lose it, but I'm not like that. When finally you get to love, guess what? Every little thing I do never seems enough for you. You don't wanna lose it again. I'm not like them. Baby, when you finally get to love somebody, guess what? Every little thing I do never seems enough for you. You don't wanna lose it again. I'm not like them. Baby, when you finally get to love somebody, guess what? It's gonna be me.
And there you have it. That is NSYNC with It's Gonna Be Me. I hope you guys really enjoyed that song. We're heading way back into time for that Boy Band Thursday song. All right, so that means we're going to get into the last segment for today, and today's last segment is Danny's Money. Yes, I was supposed to do it yesterday. Something went wrong with the file, but I got it right. And thank you so much, Daniel Baker, once again, in his busy schedule with work and school and doing all these other different things. And he's doing interviews now for university, which is amazing. Guys, this guy's he's only a senior in high school, and he is doing doing a podcast here, and I hope that he will continue to make it better and better as he goes. All right. So everyone, please welcome Daniel Baker from Korea with Danny's Money.
Hello guys, welcome back to your favorite segment, Danny's Money. Today in Danny's Money, we're going to look at what's happening right now with the stock market. What's happening right now with investing. So right now we're seeing a little bit of a dip. When I say a little bit, I'm saying a lot of a dip, and we have a good chance of going into a bear market. Now, we have to think about how we're going to invest in these bear markets. So first, we got to know what a bear market is. A bear market is a 20% decline in an index like the S&P 500, and that is going to be over a 2-month period. Now, how would you invest in these kinds of bear markets? In these bear markets, you should, if you already invested and you're seeing your portfolio dip a significant amount, you should not panic sell. Why is panic selling such a bad thing? To the common investor, it might be a thing that they might do on instinct. Like, oh, half of my portfolio is gone. Now I should sell it because at least I'm going to get half back. But that's not how investing works, That money is going to be lost if you cash out right now. But if you take your time and you actually think about long-term 5-10 years from now, when the market actually rebounds, which historically it has done, then you'll get your money back and the overall value of your investment will reach its full potential. However, if you cash out right now in a bear market, then that money that you originally once invested in will be gone. So it is common knowledge within investors to not panic sell. However, it still happens because there are short-term traders and there are long-term traders. If you want to make a good amount of money without having the most risk and also having, a lot of time, then you should be a more long-term investor. Long-term investors do not care about bear markets. They don't care about bull markets. They're going to invest the same amount of money over a long period of time and let compounding do the work. If you sell your stocks in a bear market just because your overall portfolio decreases like 10-20%, you're not letting compounding do its work and you're just going to lose money. Now, if you're a short-term trader, like a monthly trader or a weekly trader or a day trader, then it will be a different story. You would be much more inclined to sell your stocks right now in a bull market. Why is that? In short-term trading, they have the concept of cut your losses and let your winnings run high. Now, if short-term traders see a dip in the price of a stock, then or the overall market, to be honest, then they will sell their shares in that company. So, what would happen? People will sell their shares. Short-term traders will sell their shares. Then people will get scared and sell more shares. Then the price will keep on decreasing and decreasing. And people who are getting following the crowd and selling their shares right now, they're just losing money. We as an investors shouldn't do that, right? We should buy during low periods of times and sell during high periods of times. So one of the strategies you can implement is buying the dip. Buying the dip is something you do during bull markets because a good amount of the index is not doing well. So you will buy really good company shares who you feel that is undervalued and know that in the future, if they make good profits and make sure that their revenue streams are doing well, then you will buy those companies when they're low and sell them when they're back high again. Also, I want to say that bear markets and bull markets fluctuate. Historically, there has never been a time where a bear market would go for more than a year, and it's very rare that would happen. And whenever there is a bear market or a bull market, it will always come back down to normalcy. So there will always come back to a normal time where slow normal growth will happen. So it's like the biggest thing that people do these days is like they panic sell. They look at their bank account or no their portfolio and they see that there's 20% minus 20% and then they sell all of their stocks. It's like, why would you do that? There's always going to be better days. There's always going to be bull days, but there's always going to be these bearish days where the stock market doesn't do well for a good period of time. However, you need to know, and I hope you guys can research this on your own, that historically the stock market has always bounced back. So this might be a good time for you to invest your money. So during this time, you shouldn't be scared. Invest your money how you would usually invest. If you have a plan, stick to that plan. Don't deviate from that plan and realize that that plan would probably be the best. I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. It was a little bit short, but really bear markets is a very simple thing, and you just need to realize bear markets are a completely normal thing to happen in a stock market. So you can either buy the dip or you can just invest like nothing happened. So this was Danny's Money. Hope you guys enjoy your time with the Lord. Peace out, guys. Bye-bye.
And there you have it. There is another wonderful episode of Danny's Money with Daniel Baker over there in Korea. He is currently doing his interviews for university. Can't wait to see if he's going to come back all the way over here to the US, but looking forward to it. Everyone, hope you guys had an amazing and awesome Thursday podcast, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the Morning Star Drive, you know. I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone,